Wheels on the grass, trying to pass Villeneuve. Half the car gets on the grass, and Al Jr. takes the opportunity to go around the outside. Emerson, at 47 years of age, what are you at?
So Emerson Fittipaldi slides back into third place. Al Unser Jr. is into second now, and starting an attack on the leader of the race, his teammate Paul Tracy. We introduced him a while ago. I hate to go through such a grand introduction once again, but you truly have been an inspiration to so many of us who do this. Murray Walker, welcome. What do you think of all of this?
Paul, this is an absolutely incredible experience for me. I sit at home at weekends normally, listening to Derek and yourself talking about the Indy races. I'm used to lap times of about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Here they are going round in 20 seconds. This is tremendous for me because I'm here as a guest of Roger Penske. His cars are first, second and third, and they are made only 15 miles away from where I live. So I feel it's almost like a bit of home. I'm a bit disappointed to see that my hero Nigel Mansell, who did so well last year here, is not doing so well here because he's right down in the field. But this is absolutely sensational racing. Sadly, Formula One these days tends to be a bit processional, but to see that passing move that Derek Daly just described now was quite unbelievable. What are they doing? 185 miles an hour down the straightaway, such as it is.
All of that, Nigel Mansell back in 17th place, and we give him back to you next year.
Yeah, I know. We're looking forward to him coming back to Formula One for 3 races at the end of this year. I've been talking to him a lot while he's here. He's all fired up. I know he's very sorry to be leaving Indy racing, but we're going to be very pleased to have him back because Formula One needs a bit of drama and excitement, and wherever Nigel is, something is happening.
Murray, great to talk to you. Can you let us in on the scoop here? Do you know where Nigel will be next year?
I don't know, Derek. My suspicion is that he's going to be with Williams if he gets the last 3 races of this year right. But the interesting political point is that he will have to defer to Damon Hill in order to allow Hill to get as many World Championship points as possible. And Nigel does not like deferring to anyone.
Let's go down to the pits. Robbie Gordon, we mentioned out of the race, Jan.
Robbie Gordon does join us here on pit lane. Robbie, what is it that put you out? We saw smoke from the right rear.
We lost the right rear wheel bearing. We had a good car when we started the race for about 5 laps. Then I think the wheel bearing went out, and it was making the right rear toe out, and that was our problem why we were going back in such a hurry. But we came in, tried taking some wing out, it went back out, and it started smoking. We came in. Luckily, we caught it before we got the wall.
We did have a preliminary report that you may have made contact when the car was loose with another car or the wall. Is that the case?
No, we didn't touch anything. We were just kind of riding along, trying to get some points here, and just unfortunate we haven't had any luck on the Valvoline team lately.
Robbie Gordon out early. Paul?
And of course that effectively takes him out of any chance for third place in the points. So the 31 car, Al Unser Jr. on the move, trying to catch the leader of the race, his teammate Paul Tracy, as Nigel Mansell says, come on around me on that side. I feel a little safer with you to be the outside.
So Mansell clearly not in contention despite the changes we saw made to his car during that pit stop. He points. He knows he's no challenge. He's quite happy to just let those Penskes go along. He's not in the race.
89 laps in the record book now. 200 laps of scheduled distance. We've had 1 caution today. That when Mario Andretti and Eddie Cheever got together, eventually taking both out of the race. 200 miles, the distance of the Bosch Park Plug Grand Prix. Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy maintaining about the same interval for the last couple of laps, but Fittipaldi's trying to stay in the fight too.
One of the problems here for drivers, not only do you have to look ahead, but you have to look behind here more than any other racetrack. But you have to be aware of faster cars because they move outside you so quickly here, which is probably what we saw happen to Mario with Cheever. Whoa, Penske down the inside of Rahal. Rahal not having a good day.
Look at that speed of closure, though. I mean, all of these cars are running incredibly fast, as Murray already suggested. And then you get blown away like that. What a feeling that has to be. Do you hear it in the cockpit when that happens to you?
Oh, you hear it. You hear it. The problem is, when you're not a factor, that's when you have to look in your mirrors even more, which makes it even more difficult for you.
Here's a fight for 5th place. Villeneuve and Fernandez. Fernandez has had a wonderful string of races lately. coming up with his best finishes of his IndyCar career. Let's take a look at the performance on board the car with some Delco Electronics telemetry.
And this has to be, as we look over his shoulder at the Delco Electronics, this has to be the most colorful onboard billboard that we have in IndyCar racing now. Everybody in Mexico jumps up and down when this man comes on the screen. And what a job he is doing for Rick Gallis towards the back half of this year. He was a novice. Rick Gallis took a chance on this man, but he believed in his talent, and he is proving his point.
You know, when you talk about the changing, Nigel Mansell has reported to his crew that he's going to come in and come out of the race, and that looks like exactly what he's doing, Jan Beekes.
Paul, they suspect that possibly something has broken on this car because they have made some major adjustments, and Nigel Mansell still has massive oversteer. So with a track like this, you cannot run at these kind of speeds with a car that loose. He's decided to park it.
So Nigel Mansell with just one more IndyCar race to go now before he heads back to Formula One. At the front of the field, it's still Paul Tracy being chased by Al Unser Jr. We'll be back with more of the Bosch Spark Plug Grand Prix. Back at the Bosch Spark Plug Grand Prix, Adrian Fernandez is trying to chase Jacques Villeneuve. He just had a very close call with Jimmy Vasser as he moved to the inside to stay in contact. In the meantime, we noted Nigel Mansell out of the race. He's now with Jan.
Nigel, we had reports your car was getting more loose as the race progressed. It continued to go that way?
Yeah, I mean, we're not quite sure what's happened because in the morning warm-up it was...
As the race progressed, it continued to go that way?
Yeah, I mean, we're not quite sure what's happened because in the morning warm-up it was going very, very well. And as you can see, we made a couple of extra pit stops. We've taken 5 holes the front wing out of the car, and the car's worse than when it started. So we've just had a conversation. We've just retired the car because it's very dangerous out there with a car like that, and I'm just getting in everybody's way. Something's happened somewhere.
You have one more race to go at Laguna Seca. How important is it to you to try and win there, going winless for this season so far?
Well, I think it's important for every driver to try and win every race, you know, but I'm looking forward to going to Laguna. It's a great circuit, and I just hope the team and I have a little bit more luck for the last race.
Will you miss this kind of racetrack? Will you miss 1 mile ovals?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very exciting racetrack, and I'm just very disappointed because in the warm-up this morning, the car felt really good, but I think Mario suffered like I did with a very, very loose car, and we can't fix it.
Nigel Mansell with 1 race left. Paul?
Certainly come through. Very nice car.
105 laps now complete. You ride on board Bobby Rahal, who just made a quick dart into the pits and out. The leader of the race is Paul Tracy, followed by his teammate Al Unser Jr., who carved his way up from 18th position to get into this challenging position behind the leader. Third place right now is Emerson Fittipaldi, who's still trying to stay in contact. Raoul Boisel, Villeneuve, and Johansson have been running together. Just a few laps ago, Johansson was able to move up on Villeneuve, and then finally Fernandez was able to get in just behind and continue in a fight with Villeneuve. So this is actually just a lap or 2 old. They run so fast here at this track.
I wonder, is Paul Tracy getting an advantage from the new 95 development front uprights that he is trying on his Penske here this afternoon? Maybe his speed can be attributed to that. If it is, they all want them for the next race.
So Paul Tracy very definitely on a tear. Murray Walker mentioned it earlier. He lives not far from the shop where these cars are built in Poole, England. And every time we have a race, it's not only Murray watching us, but everybody back at Poole and in fact at the Elmore shop. So we do have to extend. We kind of omitted congratulations to the people that made this possible through construction. Congratulations to the gang back in the UK.
82 people back in Poole in England under the guidance of Nick Guzzi, and already the new 95 car Fernandez makes the move on Villeneuve, but already the new Penske for next year is well under construction.
Boy, and what a nice and quick move it was as Fernandez starts inside of Villeneuve and takes over 6th place.
And there are no tricks on Fernandez's car. I spoke to Ed Nathman earlier after qualifying. He said they have no development pieces, no tricks, just a stock basic car that they come to the racetrack with, put him in it, get him as many miles as possible. But that is proving to be very effective for Fernandez.
The position for Fernandez, in fact, 5th place, as now he is being challenged again, and he will move up to challenge Raul Boisel. So the fight stays very close, and look at Teo Fabi coming in here. Teo Fabi in a fight for position now with Villeneuve. Teo looks to the inside. Can't get that one done. Let's go pit side. Jan Beekes.
You've mentioned the battle about Jacques Villeneuve. We checked in with Barry Green. He says their car now is getting loose, and that is what is dropping Villeneuve back.
Well, there certainly is some indication of that visually. Now, Teo Fabi, they are fighting with Villeneuve, but it's not a fight for position per se. Right now, Villeneuve is running in 6th place, and Fabi is sitting a lap from him with that move. He is now back on the leader lap, so he will come around and try to close that position.
See how slow Villeneuve is off those corners. When the car is loose, you just use all the road, but you can't get onto the power. The man who came here to test 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was the fastest Indy car ever around here at that particular test. Then the tire construction and compound changed, and his car, they haven't quite been able to marry that new tire to the Reynard of Villeneuve.
So Villeneuve with his problems. No problems though for Paul Tracy. Al Unser Jr. is still in 2nd place, about 4.5 seconds back, and another 4 seconds back is Emerson Fittipaldi. The Penske cars are still 1, 2, and 3. ESPN's coverage of the Indy cars from Nazareth, Pennsylvania is being brought to you by PPG, world leaders in automotive finishes. Back at the Bot Spark Plug Grand Prix on board with Bobby Rahal, we should be very close to the second stops of the day. For the leaders of the race, they continue to be Tracy, Unser Jr., Fittipaldi. 4th place is Raul Boisel, then Fernandez, then Villeneuve is in 6th position, followed by Hansen, Fabi, Michael Andretti, and Mauricio Gugelmin. And boy, look at those Penskes when they come flying by. That's got to be distressing to everybody in the field.
Well, that's why your mirrors, again, are so important here. But Dominic Dobson and that Bank of America Pac West car obviously in trouble, because you see people go outside and inside. He just made a pit stop, but he is unusually slow, so he is definitely in trouble.
Battle for 6th place. Villeneuve, Johansson. Rahal comes in very, very close. Of course, you have the Paul Tracy car, the leader of the race, right in the middle of this battle. The way they've been driving, though, they should clear it fairly quickly. See the fight just ahead. That's Johansson just ahead of you. Then Tracy, then Villeneuve. And there comes Al Unser Jr. So on one onboard camera, we have 2 battles for you.
Well, Rahal is a passenger in that Miller Genuine Draft car, because no matter how much horsepower he lacks, he is not fast through the corners, and he is beginning to get himself into difficulties trying to watch what's going on behind him. Just look at these traffic jams. That's what happens here. The slower car has nowhere to